Hello, this is Rabbi Klein from the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. There's a classic debate among religious thinkers. What's most important in being Jewish? Is it spirit or is it law? And many Jews accuse one another of various things. Some Jews accuse more traditionalist Jews of the following. They say traditionalist Jews simply keep the minutiae of Jewish law, of halacha, but do they really understand the trees from the forest, the general values of Jewish law? And other Jews will counter, when people say, I'm spiritual but not religious, that's frankly just a cop out. You can't be spiritual or religious in your heart. You need to do actions. In actuality, this debate was at the heart of some historical polemics between Christians and Jews, as the same dichotomy was leveled at Jews throughout the ages. The Christians said, Jews are people of the law, but Christians are people of the Spirit. In interdenominational battles in the 19th and 20th century between Jews, very often traditionalists thought that Reform Judaism was very problematic because while they embraced a prophetic spirit, they rejected the authority of the law. So, what does our Torah have to say about this balance between spirit and law? What are the requirements of being a good Jew? If you go to Jerusalem, there's a school of art and design, which is called the Bezalel Institute. It's the premier institute of art in the state of Israel. Now, who is Bezalel? Bezalel is introduced to us in this week's Parsha and also in Parashat Ki Tisa. It's Bezalel ben Uri ben Hur from the tribe of Yehuda. And he's the one who's actually charged with building the Mishkan, building the tabernacle. He's hired by God. And why? The Torah is very clear why he is chosen. He's skilled in all types of crafts, as we would have expected. Weaving, gold, silver, and copper inlay, stone cutting, wood carving, along with his assistant Oholiav. They were entrusted with the largest works project in Jewish history until that point in time, building the tabernacle. But also the Torah gives another dimension, which is not so clear why it's important. He says, of course, that he has the skills, but there's another dimension that the Torah points out. They say that he has chachma, tfuna, and da'at. All of these words are different Hebrew words for knowledge. Chachma, Tvuna, and Da'at. Now, Chachma, according to the rabbis, means technical knowledge, knowing how to do something. That's skill-based. But then we have Tvuna. Tvuna is understanding one thing from another, understanding there's a deeper design, what I would call intuition. One doesn't just understand the process, but the goals of that process. And finally, Ruach, the deepest type of knowledge, which is associated with the rabbis with the divine spirit. In fact, with Ruach, the rabbis say that it says that Bezalel had a special gift. Just like God created the universe by combining different letters, because God created the world through speech, so too, Bezalel knew the secret of the letters of the Hebrew language and knew the secrets of the creation of the universe. So essentially, Bezalel not only was a good artisan, Bezalel was a mystic. Now, why is that so important? Deep intuition or prophetic spirit or knowing the combination of letters through which the world was created. You just need to know how to build. You need to have the technical ability. So let me give you an analogy. There's a difference between a contractor and an interior designer. A contractor is given clear directions. It must build exactly to specification. If he doesn't, you're in trouble. Your house will not stand. And Bezalel is clearly a contractor in this sense. He builds the temple, he builds the Mishkan, the tabernacle, to specific specifications. Each object and structure has its measurements, has its material, and he does it to the law. However, an interior designer is a little bit different. The interior designer understands the vision of a person that they are working with. Think about it. Within the rules of architecture, because there are certain rules, they try to bring the vision of their clients to life. To do this, they need to really not understand just architecture and materials, but they also have to understand the values of the people right in front of them. They have to understand what they want, what their vision is. In other words, they need a sense of intuition of the people in front of them, and they need a sense of inspiration in real time of how to bring that vision to fruition. So Bezalel has all of this. He's not just a mindless automaton executing processes, but rather he's an artisan. He's involved in executing a vision. And the vision here that he's in charge with is the most lofty vision in the entire world. He's trying to create a place of transcendence where we could feel the presence of God in a very physical, material place. In fact, the text alludes to the fact that the tabernacle was intended to be a microcosm of the entire universe. In one place, in this small place, one could encounter the infinite, to feel the vitality of existence itself, the same vitality that permeates existence. That was the design. That was the vision of the tabernacle. Thus, it's not surprising to say that Bezalel was gifted with this unique ability to combine the letters, just like God, of the alphabet, of the Hebrew alphabet, to unveil the world itself. Because the combination of those letters brought the world into being. He understood the design of the Maker, design of God. So, Bezalel is not just a contractor, but he is also an interior designer, and therefore needs to understand the overall vision of the ultimate master. Now, if you want to build a structure that has some cohesiveness, you need to understand how everything fits into one another, not just distinct parts. So, in this way, spirituality is extremely significant. Indeed, a person can do a lot of mitzvot, a lot of ritual things, and be very far from the divine. In fact, Nachmanides, later in the Torah, in his commentary, says this is a type of person that we would call a naval Bereshut Torah, a perverse person who yet does mitzvot. People can do a lot of things, a lot of ritual mitzvot, and yet not understand the core of why they are doing things. That's what the Ramban means when he says naval Bereshut Torah, a despicable person yet practicing the Torah. Indeed, there are times when religious practice can become just a bunch of minutiae. One needs intuition and insight like Bezalel to understand the overall design. And yet, that is not enough. Because in the command to build the temple, Moses is first commanded to build the ark. And that makes sense because what is the ark? The ark is where the two tablets are going to be, the 10 commandments. And this is also the place where the Torah says God will reside between the two Kruvim. It's the center, it's the heart, it's the core. And he repeats these commands to Bezalel in this order. First, you build the ark, and then everything else. However, in the actual design and the building of the tabernacle, Bezalel first works on the structure. He works on the tabernacle, and only at the end, at the very end, builds the ark. And there's a debate between Moses and Bezalel. Rashi quotes the Talmud. Why did Bezalel first build the structure? He tells Moses, I understand the overall design, but the way of the world is you first need to build the structure and then you fill it with objects, not the other way around. For someone who is so full with the Spirit of God and intuition, wouldn't the ark come first? But now let's go back. Consider the interior designer. Now you are buying precious furniture for your beautiful new home. However, this house really is not ready. So you take that precious furniture and you leave it in the Florida sun. Well, I can tell you, within a very short time, your furniture is going to fall apart. Indeed, part of contracting and interior design is to create a process and overseeing the project to come to fruition in a healthy way. The details are indeed important. While understanding the overall vision, it's simply not true to say that one can just be spiritual in their heart. That's not true. Jewish law and living provides us a structure, a framework in which we cultivate these values. For example, let's think about blessings on food. Yes, blessings on food, especially if you're doing it hundreds of times a day, can become very rote. On the other hand, if you believe that gratitude is a daily value, then blessing is a framework in which you can express that value hundreds of times a day. Ritual and Jewish law are not minutiae of empty vessels. Rather, they are vessels which are supposed to express the values which we profess in real life. We are a spiritual people, but we are not spirits. In fact, as human beings, we are embodied, and law, and especially ritual laws here, provide us with an opportunity to embody our values and meaning in everyday life. It creates a structure. So Bezalel understood this. Yes, the ark is very important. That's the core. But you need a good structure to hold it. You need a framework in which this value of the ark can be expressed in the world. If you leave it out in the rain, it's going to rot. So what's more important? Spirit or law? Perhaps our Torah is saying you need both in a symbiotic relationship. And perhaps this is also alluded to in the names of the two people charged with the building of the tabernacle. What does Bezalel's name mean? Betzal El. Someone who lives in the shadow of the divine, they're always focusing on higher values. As we said, he's the one who could combine the letters to create the universe, who understood how God created the universe, that kind of wisdom, that kind of mystical understanding. But then we have his assistant, whose name is Oholiav. Oholiav means father to the tent, who is in charge of building the tent. Maybe you also need to be also focused on the daily maintenance every day. We need an Oholiav as well as a Bezalel. And so, in conclusion, may we all increase and deepen our commitments, both in understanding of why we do things, but also in our actions. In this way, we too will build a small tabernacle in which the divine presence will reside in our lives every day. Wishing all of you a very Shabbat Shalom.